Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. 10 Primal Chaos Prefectures. The Emperor of Tien Kuan looked at Luo Feng. Are you sure? Think I'm asking for too much? Luo Feng also stared at the Emperor of Tien Kuan. The Emperor of Tien Kuan could feel the will of the godly king from Luo He. The affairs between me and the monarch of Yu country, why did he interfere and become so troublesome? The Emperor of Tien Kuan was quite troubled. In terms of strength, he was not afraid of Luo Feng. He even had a more powerful burst of energy, ready to fight or leave at will. Luo Feng could not stop him. But Luo Feng's 10 avatars moving against Sha Kingdom, he could not stop them either. He only had one physical body after all. He was managing the large secondary nation, Sha Kingdom, with tribes and many followers under him. Luo He, however, had no attachments, and the 10 primal chaos prefectures he recently obtained were gifts from Yu Kingdom. The one who has nothing fears not the one who has something. The Emperor of Tien Kuan was the one with something, his territory was too expansive. Luo Feng was the one with nothing, less territory, no attachments. He even had only one disciple. A real fight? Could Sha Kingdom withstand it? Fine. The Emperor of Tien Kuan's bloodshot eyes looked at Luo Feng. This time I underestimated the godly king of Luo He, not expecting that merely at the first realm of godly king, he would possess such terrifying strength. These 10 primal chaos prefectures can be considered as compensation. The Emperor of Tien Kuan is indeed straightforward. Luo Feng nodded. From now on, we will be neighbors and will indeed have to interact frequently. HMPH. The Emperor of Tien Kuan also felt troubled. Originally, having the secondary nation, Yu Kingdom, next door was troubling enough. After all, he could arbitrarily devour some tertiary nations, but facing an opponent at the same level wasn't so easy. The force led by Luo Feng, in the eyes of the Emperor of Tien Kuan, was even more troublesome than Yu Kingdom. The Emperor of Tien Kuan flapped his wings once, and had already vanished into the heavens and earth. The 10 silver-dressed Luo Fengs, towering as high as the heavens and earth, also disappeared in an instant. It's over. Unexpectedly, this godly king of Luo He is a being comparable to the Emperor of Tien Kuan. In the land of origin, another formidable overlord has emerged. All the powers watching realized Luo Feng was not to be trifunded with. The Emperor of Tien Kuan's strategies, any single one of Luo Feng's avatars could withstand, even without much loss. Only by being swallowed into the stomach was due to Luo Feng deliberately self-destructing. Otherwise, just relying on the stomach's erosion, they couldn't kill that one avatar. My disciple, to think he can now compare with the Emperor of Tien Kuan. Mountain-sitting guest's eyes were somewhat reddened, overwhelmed with emotion. It's time to meet Luo Feng. In the city owner's mansion of Huyang City, atop a pavilion. Brother Luo He, I really appreciate this. The monarch of Yu country, in an avatar, came forward, quite excited. Luo Feng's strength was beyond his expectations, and the matter was resolved too smoothly. If Luo Feng were a normal unbeatable at the first realm of godly king, this matter would have had many more conflicts. It's a small matter. Luo Feng smiled and said, Brother Yu Shui, I heard your true body is in the precious land Tianhe, you must be careful. Although they outnumbered me, I'm not so easily bullied, the monarch of Yu country said confidently. Brother Luo He also needs to be careful. This time, because of me, you have severely offended the Emperor of Tien Kuan. With his temperament, he won't let this go easily. If you encounter any trouble, just let me know, and I will come to help. Luo Feng laughed and said, Brother Yu Shui might not be aware. I just requested 10 primal chaos prefectures from Sha Kingdom as their compensation. He and the Emperor of Tien Kuan negotiated, naturally isolating the outside senses. "Ah," the monarch of Yu country exclaimed, "you asked for 10 primal chaos prefectures. Since I've offended them, I might as well offend them thoroughly." Luo Feng smiled slightly and then looked towards the direction of Sha Kingdom. "From now on, my side and Sha Kingdom will be neighbors, and the days of conflict are still long ahead. If Yu Kingdom can help, just let me know," the monarch of Yu country replied. This time the invasion of Sha Kingdom, Luo Feng unhesitantly chose Yu Kingdom's side, which deeply touched the monarch of Yu country. Without a doubt, facing Sha Kingdom in the future, Yu Kingdom would definitely stand with Luo Feng's forces. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Royal capital of Sha Kingdom, within the palace. Big Brother. Lord of the nation. The other 4 godly kings of Sha Kingdom all looked at the Emperor of Tien Kuan. That Luo he and his power of the world enveloped 10 of our primal chaos prefectures, declaring them henceforth his territories, demanding all beings in the primal chaos realm to swiftly move away within a day. Wuxiang urgently said, "Big Brother, are we just giving up 10 primal chaos prefectures like this? If not, do you think Luo he will stop the war?" The Emperor of Tien Kuan sat in the main seat, coldly glancing at Wuxiang. His 10 avatars invaded Sha Kingdom. Which of you 4 could stop even one? The 4 godly kings were stunned. They had witnessed how fearsome each of the 10 avatars was. "If we really fight, the entire Sha Kingdom won't have peace." The Emperor of Tien Kuan shook his head. "Although he has 10 avatars, when it comes to fighting, Big Brother, you still have the upper hand," the Demon God King said. "If it drags on, he will lose." "I can't outlast him," the Emperor of Tien Kuan said. Wuxiang, the Demon God King, Stream Jade God King, and Skull Peak God King were all taken aback. His enormous physical body has a strong regenerative ability, and it seems to carry its own life source, recovering while fighting. From the recent clash, his energy reserves haven't decreased at all, the Emperor of Tien Kuan said. "Even if I have the upper hand, I can't destroy even one of his avatars. He is more troublesome than the monarch of Yu country." The Emperor of Tien Kuan shook his head. "Without a way to deal with him, we must not provoke him again." "Yes." The 4 godly kings looked at each other, and could only dutifully agree. Even their own ruler admitted he couldn't destroy even one of Luo his avatars. That left no option for battle. The Emperor of Tien Kuan then stood up and departed. Soon, within the sacred land Tianhe, the Emperor of Tien Kuan arrived here in just over 10 breaths' time. An infinitely wide and infinitely long Tianhe, sweeping through time and space, sweeping through all things, surged mightily and unceasingly. Its mere presence was enough to make godly kings tremble. This was a place that, in the outside world, was valued even higher than infinite space. It was especially important to cultivators with the water origin bloodline. The Emperor of Tien Kuan transformed into his true body and merged into the waters of the Tianhe, which naturally washed over his colossal form, refining it. Merely wandering within was cultivation. "You also have no way of dealing with Luo he." The Emperor of Tien Kuan transmitted his thoughts to his 5 other friends through causality. "This time I have suffered a great loss. He forced me to hand over 10 primal chaos prefectures. If even you can't eliminate one of his avatars, naturally neither can we. Moreover, I can confirm through causality that he has hidden avatars in Huyang City, Chu capital, and Xiangjie City. 10 avatars, and that might not even be his limit. The strength he erupts with is indeed slightly inferior to ours. But he is too difficult to deal with." Several powerful entities were wary of Luo Feng, and did not wish to provoke such a formidable enemy. While they could reach a consensus and join forces against the Emperor of Yushui, they had no such agreement when it came to dealing with Luo Feng. None of them wished to battle him. "Since we can't coerce the Emperor of Yushui from the outside, let's find a way to completely resolve him within Tianhe." The 6 of them still had patience. Among the cultivators with the water origin bloodline at their level, there were only a dozen or so in the entire land of origin. Below the rank of emperor, the biggest threat to them was the emperor of Yushui, who was extremely suited to Qianhe, and had a far superior ability to obtain treasures. Naturally, they had to join forces. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In the flame-wind ancient country, Po-Lu City, Po-Lu Mountain. Master Zhongyunj, summoned by the godly king, came to pay his respects excitedly. It had been so long. This was the first time the master had summoned him specifically. Yunji, Po-Lu godly king looked at Zhongyunj with a smile. Brother Luo, he has just become a godly king, and has now even battled the emperor of Tianquan, without falling short. I'm preparing to go to congratulate him. You shall accompany me. The Po-Lu godly king was in high spirits. Zhongyunj's heart trembled. To congratulate godly King Luo he. And she was to accompany him. It's been a long time since you came down from the mountain. This visit is also an opportunity for you to meet with Moyu Qingyang. Po-Lu godly king said with a smile. Zhongyunj hesitated, then didn't dare conceal the truth. Master, Qingyang and I have already parted ways. Parted ways? Po-Lu godly king looked puzzled. I entered under master's tutelage and devoted myself solely to cultivation, unwilling to be distracted by anything else. That's why I parted ways with Qingyang, Zhongyunj said respectfully. Po-Lu godly king's gaze turned cold. As an invincible entity in the first realm of godly king, who cultivated the primordial bloodline, Po-Lu godly king would normally treat all beings kindly, but he was also influenced by the residual will within the bloodline, which he had always managed to control completely. Anger surged, and an invisible murderous aura spread naturally. Zhongyunj felt her soul shivering, her mind going blank. Foolish girl. Po-Lu godly king rebuked coldly, then waved his sleeve. Whoosh! An invisible force surrounded Zhongyunj, instantly transporting her out of Po-Lu Mountain. When Zhongyunj regained her senses, she found herself in Po-Lu City. She looked around and saw the distant sacred land, Po-Lu Mountain. Have I been exiled by master? Zhongyunj couldn't believe it. Until I permit it, you are not to ascend the mountain again. The voice of the master echoed in her mind, like a brand seared into her soul. Zhongyunj trembled in her heart. She had always thought that her master was high and unattainable, being a direct disciple of Emperor Qing, an overlord-level existence on the land of origin, whose fame spread far and wide. How could her master, willing to teach all living beings, care about her own matters of the heart? Idiot, master called me an idiot. That angry rebuke, Zhongyunj would never forget. Her master, an existence that enlightened all beings, yet scolded her, showing the extent of his fury. I was wrong. Zhongyunj gazed towards Po-Lu Mountain, feeling a chill in her heart. I thought master wanted to help the weak, to publicly preach to countless weak beings out of pity for all living beings, exhibiting boundless compassion, starkly different from us eternal true gods. But I was wrong. Master and the eternal true gods are the same. They too form alliances with powerful beings. They too are entangled in interests. Zhongyunj completely understood from her master's calling her idiot, that he took her as a disciple, not because of fate, not because of pity, but to curry favor with the godly King Luo he. After she and Moyu Qingyang parted ways, her master-disciple bond with her master also faded. Huyang City is now bustling with activity, many small and medium forces responding quickly, starting to buy many cave mansions within the city at a premium price, because they understand. Huyang City will become the center of the surrounding 20 primal chaos prefectures. Whoosh! 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 One after another, flying boats quickly left Huyang City, heading towards the many surrounding primal chaos prefectures, beginning to take over large cities. Luo Feng's power of the world covered his territories, so the relocation of both Sha Kingdom and Yu Kingdom was orderly. The teams sent out from Huyang City to take over were also extremely smooth. With your strength, Brother Luo He, 20 primal chaos prefectures are still too few. Godly King of Po Lu had already come to visit Luo Feng, saying with a smile. I have no interest in competing for territories, Luo Feng said. This time, Brother Yu Shui asked for my help, willingly giving 20 primal chaos prefectures. I even tried to ask for less. As for the Emperor of Tian Kuan from Sha Kingdom, since he has taken action, he naturally has to pay a price. Brother Luo He is generous, helping Emperor Yu Shui for just 10 primal chaos prefectures, and making such a formidable enemy, Godly King of Po Lu remarked. On the land of origin, the strong beings, if asked casually to make an enemy of Sha Kingdom, couldn't be moved by just 10 primal chaos prefectures. Luo Feng just smiled. There is another matter for which I feel somewhat sorry towards you, Brother Luo He, Godly King of Po Lu said. What is it? Luo Feng, surprised, asked. Previously, I accepted the wife of your disciple Mo Yu Qingyang, Zhong Yunj, as a disciple. Unexpectedly, this broke their marriage bond. Godly King of Po Lu shook his head. I've already expelled Zhong Yunj from the mountain to let her cool down and reflect. Luo Feng said with a smile, since they've split, it means they were not fated. I should thank Godly King of Po Lu for allowing them both to see each other more clearly. Godly King of Po Lu nodded. In Huyang City, when Luo Feng met Godly King of Po Lu. In Xiangjia City, a mysterious visitor had arrived. Luo Feng sensed a quite powerful aura flying directly into the garrison mansion, and an invisible voice came through causality, Luo Feng. To call out his name directly. Luo Feng was startled in his mind. Not many on the land of origin knew his name. Luo Feng arrived at a courtyard and saw a standing unfamiliar figure. This figure was quite tall, with blue scale armor wings, turning its head and smiling at him. While looking at him, the stranger's face began to change, transforming into the appearance of the mountain-sitting guest. Luo Feng, long time no see, the mountain-sitting guest said with a smile. End of this volume. This volume has come to an end, and Tomato will take a 2-day break to carefully plan the plot of the 5th volume. It's too rushed to conceive a complete plot in one day, and Tomato also hopes to come up with a better storyline for the Godly King arc, asking for everyone's understanding. In 2 days, the 5th volume will begin updating. Luo Feng looked at the figure of the mountain-sitting guest before him, whose physique was much sturdier than the teacher he remembered from his memories. After all, when he was in the primordial cosmos region, the mountain-sitting guest was merely a true god. It was only close to when he was to challenge the Samsara channel that he had broken through to become a true god of void space. Now, however, he was a cultivator of the primal chaos realm, cultivating the primordial bloodline. You've engaged in combat with the master of the Sha Kingdom so quickly, much earlier than I expected, the mountain-sitting guest said with a smile, looking at his disciple. Hearing this, Luo Feng was certain without a doubt, teacher. It was impossible to confirm the identity of his teacher by life force and causality alone. But those who knew he was Luo Feng were countable on one hand. In the land of origin, Yuan, Morosa, and Emperor Chu were all deeply trusted by him. Being able to call out his name, Luo Feng trusted him mostly already. The feud between the mountain-sitting guest and the master of the Sha Kingdom was only revealed to him by his teacher, when he was about to challenge the reincarnation era. Only he and his teacher knew about it, with no third party in the know. I've placed my hopes for revenge on you, it's unfair to you. The mountain-sitting guest looked at Luo Feng and expressed his feelings. Because to completely kill a second realm godly king is something not even emperors and monarchs can necessarily achieve. But I see no other possibility. Only in you do I see a chance, the mountain-sitting guest continued, and I know, such pressure, you simply wouldn't care about. Luo Feng just smiled. Indeed, this kind of pressure was nothing to him. His teacher also hadn't forced him to meet his death, but rather to make his move when he was confident. You've only been in the land of origin for less than 2 centuries, yet you've achieved such a realm, far surpassing me, the mountain-sitting guest said with complex emotions, remembering the time he transformed Earth and nurtured a powerful race. He had watched Luo Feng rise from weakness step by step. As a godly king, he had always been detached, protecting and guiding his weak disciples towards growth. In a blink of an eye, his disciple had completely surpassed him. To kill the 3 masters of the Shi kingdom, my strength is far from enough, Luo Feng stated. This time, it was merely establishing causality, with the Emperor of Tian Kuan acting as a catalyst. There's no rush, the mountain-sitting guest replied. Even if you were stronger and could destroy the Emperor of Tian Kuan's true body, he could still cultivate himself back to strength. He would even become more cautious. If we scare him into reincarnating, then it would be problematic. I have a plan for how to thoroughly kill the 3 masters of the Shi kingdom, Luo Feng stated. Oh, the mountain-sitting guest's eyes brightened. Are you confident in your plan? Luo Feng nodded. There are multiple methods, but all need sufficient time for cultivation. Multiple methods. The mountain-sitting guest, in all his experience, thought the complete annihilation of the 3 masters of the Shi kingdom, especially Emperor Tian Kuan, to be extremely difficult. Yet his disciple claimed to have multiple methods. The mountain-sitting guest felt exhilarated and exclaimed, "Now, even your visions far surpass mine. But remember, your own safety comes first." The mountain-sitting guest looked at Luo Feng. I was originally just a first-realm godly king, not involved in the top-level struggles of the land of origin. But I've seen a lot. I know how brutal and crazy those at the top can fight. The strongest existences in the land of origin, the detached godly kings, and the 2 ancient countries fight fiercely. There have been many clashes at the level of emperors, the mountain-sitting guest spoke. The detached godly kings have more numbers and more highly talented individuals, while the 2 ancient countries have excessively fearsome emperors and monarchs. Amidst all the slaughter and conflict, the detached godly kings would even reincarnate and hide their identities, striking again in secrecy later on. The mountain-sitting guest looked at Luo Feng. As a first-realm godly king, I was a bystander, which allowed me to see everything clearly. All strife stems from the struggle for resources. If you are not in dire need of resources, don't get involved, the mountain-sitting guest cautioned. Focus on cultivation, and grow stronger. Once you're strong, even the 2 ancient countries will have to respect you. The waters of the land of origin are deep. I can't see through them, but know that emperors and monarchs have repeatedly made their moves, shattering the heavens and the earth. Your clash with the Emperor Tian Kuan, compared to that level, it's a qualitative difference, the mountain-sitting guest said. Of course, Luo Feng understood. The difference between the second realm of godly king and the ultimate realm was a qualitative transformation. Like his master Emperor Chu, who could obliterate his body with a single move. Even with his life force regenerating him, it would only take Emperor Chu a few more moves. The Emperor Tian Kuan, whose life force was somewhat inferior to his own, but who had a more terrifying burst of power, could probably be dealt with by Emperor Chu in a single move. This showed the vast gap between a normal second realm godly king and an ultimate realm life form. Teacher, don't worry. I've just become a godly king, and I'm not in a hurry to join the struggles, Luo Feng said. The mountain-sitting guest smiled. Good, I should be going now. You can contact me anytime if you need anything. Having met once and confirmed the identity, they could communicate via causality in the future. Good, Luo Feng nodded. With his understanding of all those in the land of origin, who had achieved transcendence of primal chaos realm, he naturally knew the reincarnated identity of his teacher was the Zhuoshanjin, the transcendence of primal chaos realm from the Thunder ancient country. Sigh. With one step, the mountain-sitting guest had quietly departed. In the night sky, the mountain-sitting guest looked back toward the direction of Xiangjie city. In this world, all my dearest have perished. Although the mountain-sitting guest had returned to the familiar land of origin, he found no kin, no dearest, and no sect. His sensation of profound solitude had always haunted him. He lived in the Thunder ancient country like a solitary ghost, with his purpose of existence being revenge. But this night, he felt relieved and less lonely. On this land of origin, I still have a disciple, murmured the mountain-sitting guest. He had watched his disciple grow from weakness, step by step, and now in the land of origin, his disciple continued to strive for revenge on his behalf. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The bustling Huyang city witnessed a silent shadow sneaking into the city lord's mansion. It was a child, who smiled while observing Luo Feng. Luo Feng, sitting in a pavilion, was surprised to see the newcomer. When his teacher, the mountain-sitting guest, had gone to Xiangjie city, it was through causal sound transmission that he had faced no obstacles. However, this child had ignored all formations and Luo Feng's attempts to block him, appearing silently in front of him. In terms of cultivation realm, he was clearly much higher than Luo Feng. Luo He, the child said with a smile, I am the boat master of the time-space lonely boat. Luo Feng looked at the other party. In the shadows of the land of origin, the three major forces, the Two Realms Palace, Wanfa Tower, and time-space lonely boat, were all established by powerful alien entities. Because these aliens traversed great distances to reach the land of origin, their might was suppressed to the level of the primal chaos realm. Even with their profound moves, they possessed only the fighting strength of the first realm of Godly King. The true powerhouses of these three forces were some of the extremely powerful ancient entities native to the land of origin. The time-space lonely boat was especially famous for its boat master. The boat master had cultivated the time primordial Tao to an inconceivable extent, and was considered the highest master of the time primordial path on the land of origin. His identity in reality had long been exposed. After all, it was quite easy to guess, given his accomplishments in the path of time. He was the heart-honing Godly King, who in a past life had studied under the Lord of 10,000 Realms. Later, he had a fallout with the Lord of 10,000 Realms and reincarnated in hiding. Now, even the Lord of 10,000 Realms could not do anything against him. Boat Master, said Luo Feng with a smile. I consider my talent exceptional, but compared to you, Brother Luo He, I am still quite inferior, the child grinned. I am here to invite Brother Luo He to join the time-space lonely boat. I can offer you resources worth 1 billion merit points for you to choose from at will. Resources worth 1 billion merit points. Thanks, but I have no plans to join another force, said Luo Feng. Even if you join one force, you can still join others, said the child with a smile. Luo Feng gently shook his head. Is it because the time-space lonely boat was established by an alien race? The child looked at Luo Feng. Aliens are very limited in the power they can exert on our land of origin, and pose no threat at all. And their true bodies are existences that transcend the ultimate realm of God King. Why not cooperate with them? Even the ancestors of the two ancient countries are not usually on the land of origin. They also cooperate with alien race powerhouses in the outside world, don't they? Said the child. As long as one has sufficient strength, cooperation with aliens can still be advantageous. For example, when the aliens invited me to join the time-space lonely boat, my condition was I become the master of the time-space lonely boat, and he could only assist me. The child looked at Luo Feng. You possess great talent, but you still need time and resources. You must become an ultimate realm life form before the great destruction of this source world, or you will perish alongside the destruction of the source world. Time is precious. The time-space lonely boat is willing to offer you far more than the two ancient countries. No rush, Luo Feng shook his head. Still not in a hurry, the child looked at Luo Feng. Let me also tell you a secret. The duration of this source world has already been quite long, and the remaining time is probably just a few billion eras at most. Thank you for the information, Boat Master, replied Luo Feng. A few billion eras. That long. He had arrived at the land of origin just over a century ago. In the primordial cosmos, a reincarnation era, whether long or short, corresponds to about 10,000 eras on the land of origin. A few billion eras. For Luo Feng, it was indeed a very long time. The time for cultivation was more than ample. It's incredibly difficult for one at the second realm of Godly King to achieve the ultimate realm. Time is still very tight. The child looked into Luo Feng's eyes and stopped persuading. My invitation from the time-space lonely boat always stands. Thank you for the invitation, Boat Master, said Luo Feng. We will meet frequently in the future, the child said with a slight smile, then vanished into thin air. Luo Feng was amazed, walking different timelines, just like that, he's gone. Cultivators of the time primordial Tao were indeed formidable. Compared to him, he was still too naive. This boat master is indeed well informed. The source world has only a few billion eras left. I must become an ultimate realm life form before then. Luo Feng realized. When Luo Feng was in the primal chaos realm, few major forces invited him. After all, in their eyes, even if Luo Feng became a godly king, he would only be unrivaled in the first realm of Godly King, barely reaching the threshold of an overlord. At that time, only the Two Realms Palace and Reincarnation Tower had invited him, and naturally, Luo Feng had chosen the Reincarnation Tower. However, Luo Feng's battle with the Emperor of Tian Kuan not only demonstrated his terrifying strength, but also his potential for talent. His power at the first realm of Godly King even surpassed the history of the land of origin. This talent made all sides astounded. Speculations arose among all parties. Could this Luo He, in the future, contend with emperors and monarchs across levels? And so, many forces came to invite Luo Feng, who gained broader insights into the hidden forces of the land of origin, and understood various kinds of intelligence. For the time being, I reject them all. In the quiet room of the Huyang City Lord's mansion, inside the Star Tower, Luo Feng knew that the land of origin was undergoing tumultuous changes, with the forces openly and secretly fighting over various treasures. Yet, he did not intend to get involved. Focused on solidifying his own strength, he was well aware that he still had much room for progress in the first realm of Godly King. Luo Feng sat cross-legged in the Star Tower, cultivating. With an unprecedentedly strong foundation of the soul, Luo Feng's thought processes were much faster, over 10 times quicker than when he was in the primal chaos realm. This video will end here.